We are talking with my grandpa, John Gerken, who is going to share his experience with the 1981 air traffic control strike.
When I became an air traffic controller in 1968, that was the very year that PATCO was formed, and the intent of PATCO originally was to be a professional organization and sort of like a professional trade organization with the intent of bettering conditions for air traffic controllers to make the work better. At that time, 1968, we had very antiquated equipment, and there was a need to get some national publicity to get better equipment and working conditions. And so I joined the PATCO organization in 1968 as a professional organization. As it turned out, over the years, it evolved into a union, which was fine, but as it evolved, I'll explain in a few minutes, it sort of evolved into something just a little bit more than that. All right, in 1981 was sort of a culmination of about 2 years of actions that were building up to it. There was, like I mentioned earlier, there was a lot of concern about equipment and working conditions and that was slowly improved over the years. However, about 2 years prior to 1981, the Air Traffic Controllers Union leadership changed from very, at least in my mind, a very professional team that was running the organization to a, I guess, a fairly militant group that thought that the position they were in, being the air traffic controllers for the entire United States, that they could sort of dictate whatever they wanted for their conditions of work. And so this sort of evolved up to 1981, when the controllers, through their management, I guess, really became very militant and decided that they were going to put an ultimatum to the government that they would either have the government come to their terms on working conditions and a variety of other things, or they would go on strike. 1981, I had been a supervisor for about 4 or 5 years. Being a supervisor put me outside the union organization, since supervisors were not allowed into the labor organization, so I was a supervisor for a number of years prior to. So that was the role I was in 1981 when the strike occurred. I can give you just a little background. In August 3rd of 1981, which is the day that it started, I, as a supervisor, came to work that morning at 7 a.m., which was my normal work shift. And the area I supervised, which was around the Lincoln and Omaha, Nebraska area, normally the crew that I had come to work for me would be, anywhere from 19 to 23 people. That morning, when I came to work, one person showed up to work with me. And so what we did, we decided that I took one half of the area and he took the other half of the area, and we worked the best we could. Now, it was not that dangerous for air traffic because they immediately restricted, the FAA restricted the flow of traffic and how many airplanes could fly. So things did not get out of hand. However, we did have our hands full on that very date that the strike occurred. As the thing progressed, the following day, the president at the time, Ronald Reagan, gave the controllers an ultimatum. And as the president, of course, he was commander-in-chief of the FAA, and he had the final say. And for the air traffic controllers, being federal employees, they did not have the right to strike. That was in federal law. So President Reagan told the controller group on the second day of the strike, either come back to work in 2 days or you'll be terminated. So he sort of put the ultimatum to the union. The union felt that they were in control because they were severely handicapping the commerce of the United States of America, because air traffic control almost ground to a halt. But President Reagan gave them that ultimatum, and on the day that they were supposed to come to work, their last chance, the union chose to stay out, and we had to march on with the very few people that we had, and all the controllers were fired. It varied in the United States. Some areas, maybe half the controllers went on strike and half did not. Here at Minneapolis, we had about 90% of our controllers went on strike. For sort of an antique thing, I guess, we have, this is my original Patco membership card, which is probably a pretty rare item anymore. And then I still have in my closet, or did have in my closet, my original Patco jacket, which had the Patco symbol on it, indicating that indeed at one point in time I was a full-fledged member. So it was sort of interesting. I think the tragic part of the air traffic controller strike was the fact that a lot of really good men and women lost their job permanently, a job that a lot of them really loved. And I think individually a lot of people probably never would have went on strike, but it became part of a group effort. The union was very strong, and a lot of the people felt if their friends were going to go on strike that they had to support it because they had to support their friends. And I can understand that. That would have been a very untenable situation to be in, to decide to go in or not to go in and go back to work. So tragically, we lost a very large number of very good people through this strike.